What if the key to lasting success wasn't pushing harder, but feeling better? Today's guest, Cindy von Eeckhout, is the founder of Alegria Coaching and creator of the Joy of Life method, a transformational approach that blends smart business strategy with self-care, energy management, and inner alignment. With a master's in business engineering, over 2 decades of entrepreneurial experience, and 4 thriving businesses built alongside her husband, all while raising 2 sons, Cindy doesn't just teach balance, she lives it. Her mission? To help people create more clarity, focus, and energy so they can enjoy more freedom, fulfillment, and joy in both business and life. Whether she's speaking on leadership, time freedom, or redefining success without burnout, Cindy brings grounded wisdom, uplifting energy, and a message that resonates long after the interview ends. Cindy, welcome to the show. Can't wait to dive into this.
Thank you, Mason. What a beautiful introduction. So thank you for having me. I'm so grateful. And yes, let's dive into this beautiful conversation.
So you've worked with so many high achievers. What's the emotional toll success has taken on them that most people don't see from the outside?
The emotional toll in general with the high achievers I work with, it's very clear. It's like stress, overwhelm, exhaustion, feeling guilty and unfulfilled. It's coming every time back again. And why? Because in general, the high achievers that I work with, they don't have work-life balance. So they are imbalanced there. They lack self-care and they struggle with perfectionism. And when they struggle with perfectionism, in general, they like to control things and they don't like to delegate. So all these things make that they are like completely disconnected from joy and unfulfillment. So how does this translate in day-to-day life? You can see it easily because in general, they don't have boundaries, or not a lot. They are most often people pleasers. They have like endless to-do lists. They have meetings back to back. They have they work late during the nights, during the weekends. They don't have a lot of time to spend with their family. And at the end, their energy is low and they feel quite guilty about all of this. So this is the emotional cost that they're paying. And it's sad because it doesn't need to be like that. And if you want to be successful, but you are not working on your self-care and on your boundaries, it will lead to burnout. So this is where I step in and help them to balance things back again, because it is not worth it. It is really not worth it.
So can you tell us about a moment in your own life or one of your clients' lives where you or they realize that, hey, I'm succeeding on paper, but I'm not happy. And what changed after that?
If you like, I'll share something of my own life just to tell it is something that is universal.
Sure.
And we all get to these different phases. For more than 20 years, I'm living here in the south of France with my husband, and we created different companies and they're all heart-led businesses. And in 2022, we had having it all. After COVID 2020, very challenging for us. But in 2022, everything went really well. So in the outside world, we were very successful. It was very shiny. We were happy as well because we were so happy that everything thrived again. But to be very honest, at the inside, we felt like we were completely exhausted, overwhelmed, because we had 3 businesses just with 2 persons. So we're doing so many things. And at the end, it wasn't aligned with the joy. And the joy was for us so critical because it's what fueled us. And this is, as I told you in the beginning as well, joy. The Spanish word of joy is alegria. And alegria is a word that has been following us through all our companies. So alegria for us is key. Joy of life is so key. But we weren't fueled anymore with that. So for me, that shiny success was so great. But we decided at that time, okay, is this what we want to do? And we said no. So we made quite a bold decision to say okay, we just stop 2 of the 3 businesses. We focus on one that we still have. And then we created one that was completely aligned again with this joy. And this breakdown of getting completely overwhelmed and exhausted became my breakthrough. And this is also the start of Alegria Coaching. And this is where I created the Joy of Life method to, again, empower, help other women and business women who have all these different hats to create more time, freedom, and energy to do really what they love without sacrificing success. So this is one thing that I experienced.
Okay. So I know this probably happens a lot for you, and I'm sure that a lot of people listening are going to be able to relate to this. But what do you say to someone who feels trapped by their own ambition? Like they've built a life that they can't escape, even though it's draining them.
What I would say is, first of all, it's slow down. It's really slow down, realign again, and give yourself the permission to pause. And this is an important one, because if we talk about pause and about rest, if we talk in business life about rest, it's like, oh my gosh, it's not like a good word to say, but I can tell you, rest for me, it is a requirement, and it is not just a reward after you've given and given and given and doing so many things. So it is so important to work on that rest. And why, Mason? Because we all know if you don't have these little times and blocks of rest in your life, whatever, if it's with sports, whatever it's with mindfulness, with other things, it will lead to burnout. And then your body, even though your body is very strong and it's quite resilient, you can have lots of stress, lots of work, but after a certain time, your body will help you. If you don't slow down anyway, your body will fall down. This is what I say. If you don't slow down, you will fall down, because this is what's happened if you don't re-energize yourself back again.
So here's a couple questions for you, because I'm thinking about myself here, and I think that there's probably other people listening or watching and are thinking the same thing. But one of the things that I struggle with is that I do run, I bike, I do find ways I have outlets to let off steam. But there are some times where it's easy to say, oh, just rest, or oh, just take a break. But the reality of it is, I can speak for myself. I'm so committed to my goals and so committed to the outcomes that it's very difficult for me to enjoy time off when I know I've got responsibility and things that need to be taken care of. So yes, I can stop, I can pause, I can rest, but that's not really that restful for me sometimes, because I have the sense of responsibility and excitement about what I do. So how do you coach, or how do you guide someone through that? Because it's easy to say, oh, I'll just take a rest or just take a stop. But I can take a rest and take a stop, but I'm not going to say that I'm always going to enjoy that time off, because I have a conscience about what I'm not handling. And I'm certain that I'm not the only one that feels that way. You probably have all of your clients say that. What are your thoughts there?
But first of all, I do understand what you're telling, and we're all human beings. So it happens to everybody. It's not because I'm saying it and I'm praying it that I can do it every time as good as I want it. But that's okay. But being already aware, and the fact that you say, like, I want it, but sometimes my conscience is somewhere else, is because you're passionate. You are passionate about what you're doing. And so not only you're passionate, you really want to achieve your goals. And that is great. It is this ambition that you have in yourself. The only thing where the limiting belief sometimes can be is like, I can't have it all. I can't have my professional success and my personal happiness together. It all starts with mindfulness. And if you are aware, like, oh my gosh, I'm not enjoying this moment here because I know all the things I have to do, it's just be aware of it and just create more mindfulness. And mindfulness means like creating intentional awareness about your emotions, your thoughts, and your environment. If you work on this mindfulness, saying like, okay, I know I have things to do. I know I have quite some to-do lists, but this is in the future. But now I decide, and this is a decision. It's a decision to decide, I want to be mindful, whatever, for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. You put your clock and say, I'm just going to close my eyes. I'm going to breathe and be present in the moment. And this is a decision. And it's a decision in the now and not in the future. And this is the only way you can really catch yourself back again in the moments that it's challenging. And if there is a challenging day, because we all have challenging days as entrepreneurs, if there is a challenging day, then you can say, okay, don't be too hard on yourself and allow it. You can allow it that it happens, but be aware and be mindful intentionally. This is the most important tip I can give there.
Because like I know that many high performers and achievers, they sacrifice their health, they sacrifice time with their family and even joy to get ahead. But what's the real cost of that sacrifice? And can it even be reversed?
No, it is a simple answer. You can't reverse it. And when you were talking about health, about family, about time that you lose, these are all things you can't buy. You just can't buy them. So it is something that you have to create. And while you have to create it, it is something you have to do on a daily basis if this is important for you. And again, it's all around your decision. Whatever is important for you, you have to make a choice. And Tony Robbins says it beautifully. In life, it's all about decision. And when you take the decision, it's all about if you are going to work on it or not. And what I was going to say is more like it's the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Discipline weighs ounces and regret weighs tons. And this is reality. And whatever it is, if it's your health, if it's your family, do know you cannot reverse it, but you can make your decision. And you can make the decision to also have the discipline to do it. And I know you're a big sporter, but there's a discipline in there. And even though now it's not a discipline anymore because you're doing it, it's your habit, it's your identity, you love it. So this is why you're doing it without even thinking about it. But if there are things that are new for you, for me, for everybody, just take the decision and make it a daily habit.
That's an interesting distinction to me, because you talked about the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And I know that people have missed birthdays, they've missed school plays, they've missed anniversaries, and there is a pain of regret there. And the pain of discipline, like, hey, I need to do my work. And if I don't do my work, I feel guilty. But what I'm hearing from you is saying, treat your personal responsibilities as your work responsibilities and discipline yourself to make that a priority as well.
Completely.
Is that correct?
Correct. This is like whatever is the planning for your professional life, you can have a planning for your personal life. And you're talking about family, birthdays, anniversary, whatever. These are things you know a lot in advance. So again, it's a decision. If you think, sorry,
because the pain of discipline is this way, and like, hey, if I don't do this work-wise, I'm going to experience pain. So I have discipline with what I'm going to handle work-wise. The pain of regret, if I go along that path, is I miss the birthdays, I miss the parties, I miss the important family things. And they're two opposite directions. And what you're suggesting, if I understand correctly, is combine those and make both a priority and discipline yourself to be balanced in both areas.
Right. You can have like discipline and regret on both sides. But when I say you have to make a decision, it's like, is this birthday a priority for me? And it's very simple. If it's a priority, you plan it and you make it a non-negotiable. If it's important, I take a decision, I plan it and make it a non-negotiable. And both of them, professionally and privately, you make it a non-negotiable there. And then you don't have to regret one or another. And it's great to work on your goals for work, but it's also very important to have the things that are important for your personal life. Because these are the things in general, you can never have it back. There were some things professionally, in general, you can catch up later, even though it's not always possible. But it's really planning and make it a non-negotiable on both sides. This is a little bit what I would say.
So you mentioned the magic word identity. And I know that burnout is often seen as a badge of honor in high pressure environments. How do you help people untangle their identity from their productivity?
The first thing you were telling, like burnout is like a badge of honor. I'll start with that, and then I'll start a little bit with the identity of productivity, because there are two different ball games there, and very, very important ones, because so many people believe that. And when we talk about identity and belief, for me, this is a complete limiting belief. And what you do with limiting beliefs, it's quite simple. You just ask yourself, where is it coming from? Where is this limiting belief coming from? Then you choose a more empowering belief, and then you try it. This is one thing. And this about the limiting of belief of burnout. Do you really think that the price of success needs to be burnout? Do you really think it's what you need? And can you give yourself a more empowering belief, like saying, okay, I prefer to lead with more energy. I prefer to lead and be more calm. I prefer to lead in a different way. Having that said, so for me, this is very important to distinguish and know, especially when we're talking about the hustle culture, this is all about limiting beliefs. Then we go back to the productivity. And again, with talking about burnout, hustle culture and so on, a simple empowering belief that I use mostly with my clients, it's the 80-20 rule. It's a Pareto principle, because we know that 80% of the results, they come from 20% of our actions. And this can be also a more empowering belief, that you know that you only have to focus on the 20%, not on the 80%, but you will focus on the 20% that will give you the 80% of the results. So coming back to productivity, and there's also an interesting misconception sometimes. Productivity, it's not the same as busyness, because busyness, it is different. And there are a lot of people, they're making a mistake. They're like, okay, I had like a very big day today. I worked from 6 until very late in the evening. But it's not because you worked that late that you are productive. So for me there, how can I help there? For me, the most important thing is clarity. What is the most important for you, for your company, for your job, for your team, for everybody? Clarity is key. Once you get this clarity, what I do then is I help my clients to identify the top 3 priorities. And that's very easy. You say, while this is important, what are my top 3 priorities? they should be high impact, high revenue and income activities. It needs to be critical, urgent, and important. And if you know already all this, then you know what you have to do. Another thing that is important there is try to delegate. And especially in these times now with AI, you can automate so many things. So delegate, automate, and dump. There are so many things you don't have to do. Have your boundaries and dump or give it to somebody else because you are doing busyness and you're focusing on the 80% that only will give you the 20% of results. So, and if you all did this, then the last part is plan the things, because if you don't plan it, if you don't put it in your calendar, whatever are things that are important for your professional life and your personal life, you won't do it. You just won't do it. You plan it, you track it, and then at the end of the day, just check it out. Did it work well? And there again, don't be hard on yourself. We know challenges will come, and if there is like a crazy day, then you just focus on the top one. This is my top one thing that I want to do today, and be proud of that. And then tomorrow is another day. But it's only a fact of focus, energy, and clarity. And if you do that, I can guarantee you your days will shift in a more positive way. And then you don't need
So,
to think
what,
about burnout.
what's one belief about success that you had to let go of in order to protect your energy and your joy?
My personal one,
Sure.
it's a little bit what I was telling in the beginning in my story. It's like, for me, that you don't have to sacrifice your well-being to be successful. That was for me a big game changer. My limiting belief there was that in the generation of my parents in general, it was like, you have to work hard. Money's not falling out of the sky. So it was like pushing, pushing, pushing. This is the idea that I had. So it was normal for me that I had less and less time for myself, and I was giving, and with all the different hats, giving to everybody. And at the end of the day, I didn't have any time for myself anymore. And I felt that the energy was going lower, lower, lower. And at the end, you just don't feel happy anymore and you don't feel aligned. So, what I can tell there is, first of all, self care isn't selfish. This is what I learned. So, if you talk about well being, one of the first things I say to my clients is prioritize self care. It isn't selfish. And if you work on your well being and your self care, you will gain in productivity, you will gain in creativity, and you will gain in clarity and energy. And for me, it is so worth it. And it helps you on the long run to have this success that is aligned with the joy in your day-to-day life.
So, what you're saying sounds magical and wonderful. But the reality to a lot of folks is that slowing down sometimes feels like, even though it may not be reality, sometimes it feels like when you slow down, you're falling behind. So do you have any tips about how to reframe rest or reframe boundaries and presence as strengths so that you don't feel like it's weakness?
Completely. First of all, I'd like to say that slowing down is not a weakness. I do repeat, it's not a weakness for me. It's a leadership strength. And I said in the beginning as well, if you don't slow down, you will fall down. And it is your body who will really put you down. Anyway, having this said, if you talk about rest, you talk about boundaries and presence. So rest, like I said already, it is not a reward, it's a requirement. And it is so important. And you can just feel it if you don't have the energy anymore, because we talked about if the cup is empty, you don't function well. You are not so productive. You are not really great, whatever it's in meetings. This rest, see it as something very positive that will help you, that will realign you, and that will boost your energy. When you talk about boundaries, it's a little bit the same. And the boundaries, and also there it's important when you have boundaries, saying no doesn't mean saying no to everybody. It doesn't mean saying no to help other people. It just be crystal clear what you want, what you don't want. And if you help somebody in general, you can help them to grow. But it doesn't mean you do all the work. It's helping. And that's already a big, big boundary. And this boundary, it will help you again to, it's in one way slowing down, but it will accelerate everything. So it's not slowing down, but it's saying no to lots of things and saying yes to the things that are important. And then the last part, when you were telling about the presence, and this is all again concerning mindfulness. And this was the mindfulness that you were saying, oh, but it's so complicated sometimes and challenging to do in real world and real life. It is true. It is true. I will give you some tips, Mason. I talked to already, and I know you do it. I give some tips for you and for your audience, because we know this morning ritual, and it sounds sometimes a little bit fluffy. But I can tell you there's lots of studies about it that really help, and that shows that it helps. But for me, if you do the morning rituals, there are three magic ingredients. It's meditation, it's breathing, and it's gratefulness. And it seems fluffy. And if you combine, you can do a meditation where you have gratefulness and breathing. You can combine it. You take 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. There's so many meditations online that you can find. But it is shown that if you do that, it changes everything. And 10 minutes of mindfulness a day, it will reduce your stress with 40%. This is studies that shows it. So apart from that, what is another thing that you can do? I said it already, also prioritize what matters most, but not only for your job, also for you. And then a practical thing during the day, because there is sometimes where it becomes more challenging. You start well in the morning. You say, okay, I did my mindfulness, my ritual, my daily morning ritual. I had even some physical activities. And if you do that, of course, you work on your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. It's great. But during the day, some small tips, 3 tips. The first one, have this intentional little breaks during the day. And it's like even 1 minute of breathing. You plan it, but put it in your calendar. You have like at 10 o'clock, at noon, 4, whatever. You just sit. If you can go outside, if you have nature outside your where you work, it's even better. But take this 1, 2, 3 minutes. Intentional, I can tell you, it changes everything, because you can be angry, you can be whatever you are, but just doing this changes everything. And then if I can add some other thing, and this is, I think, really interesting.
Please.
It's really interesting if you have a lot of meetings. I don't know if you have a lot of meetings going on, but if you have a lot of meetings, also there, the breathing before it helps. But I know a company, and I'm a big fan of theirs, and the company is called Warm Space. I don't know if you ever heard about Warm Space, but I think, did you ever heard about them?
I have not.
Okay, I think they're amazing. Why? Because what they do is they changed meetings in a drastic way. They're working now more and more on high-level companies. And what do? Instead of starting a meeting, whatever, if it's online or in person, in general, the meeting starts with, okay, what are the goals? What are the objectives? And everything, it goes like very rationally. So we're all rationally in the head, and we go and have the meeting. What they do, and this is this mindfulness in a meeting, and I call it Zoom with a heart, because it's like an application that is put on Zoom. And what they do, they start a meeting. First, they do together. You do it all together. If you're 1, 2, 100 people, you can do it with 1,000 people. You do 1 minute of breathing together. Secondly, you show your appreciation. You give some words of appreciation. 3, you scale yourself from 1 to 10. What is your emotional state? And 4, you name your emotions by giving in words if it's in person. Just by doing this, your cortisol level goes down, your stress goes down. Can you imagine the effect, what it has on the meeting? The outcome, people are much more creative, they work more together, they are more productive. And then at the end of the meeting, they do the same with scaling and with the words. And imagine you were very angry or stressed before the meeting. If you would have scaled you before, then you do the same thing in the beginning of the meeting and you do it at the end. The results are mind-blowing. So this is one thing. I don't know if everybody can do it, but with this application, you just add it on your Zoom meeting or whatever you have, and it changes everything. It's the mindset of everybody, and it's done in such a fun and original way that I'm a big fan of it. So these were some tips.
Okay, so thank you. A lot of overachievers fear that if they let go of the pressure, that their results will suffer. And I can give you a real life example. I think of a competitive runner, or I'll even put, if I'm not a competitive runner now. Some would argue I've never been, but I do run. But let's just say that I'm running, if I go to the track and I want to challenge myself to run the fastest mile I've ever run, I will go out and I will push myself as fast as I think I can go, and I'll see what the time is. But if you throw a couple people in there that are a little bit faster than me, I have the ability to find another level that I wasn't able to find before. Or if I've got someone breathing down my neck, I push harder. And I would equate that pressure with better performance. So there are ways to use that feeling of pressure to push yourself harder or farther or better than you might have been able to do it on your own. But I realize that there are consequences if you do that every day. I'm not going to go race every day all out and try to pick your times. So for those of us watching or listening who feel that pressure's a good thing that drives us to achieve great things. What are your words of wisdom or words of caution, or what would your message be to those of us who tend to feel that way on a regular basis?
But I love the example that you give, and it's true. But it's not only pressure. For me, it's more the momentum. It's the momentum, whatever, if it's in running, if it's in your business, it's for every athlete like that. It's for every great leader like that. You feel there is something that you want to achieve. You have this momentum, you work with it with this energy, and that's fine. There's nothing against that. But are things changing? When this pressure is there all the time. When you feel this pressure for your job, for your personal life, you feel it's never enough. You feel like all the time running behind because you're not finishing what you want to do for your work with your endless to-do list. But on top of that, you're not there with your family. You don't do the things you want to do for yourself. You don't see your partner enough. You don't have your friends that you want to see. And this is a complete different pressure. This is not the positive, because if we talk about stress, there is positive stress. And that's great, because this stress will put you in alert. It will help you to be more present and to really act in a better way. So that's good stress and that's good pressure. And this is what the pressure that you were talking about. But in general,
Oh yeah.
so that's okay. And just be in the momentum and enjoy this, because it will give you better results. But this is when it's temporarily. But when you have it on every aspect of your life, and when you have it every day, and you just have to be honest with yourself. Do I feel this pressure here on my shoulder? And it's like literally on your shoulder, and you feel the stress inside all the time, then there's something wrong. And I can tell you, if you want to lead with pressure, you won't have the results that you want. And it's not the same as a one-time pressure for a big moment where you have been training for. And for me, it's not the pressure.
Fair enough.
It's the presence, the focus, and the energy. This will change everything.
So for someone listening who feels disconnected from their spouse or their kids because of work, what's one way to start repairing that relationship without guilt?
If you feel disconnected from somebody, I would say the first thing I would do is first connect again with yourself. Make some time for you. Because in general, if you're disconnected with people, it's because you're disconnected from yourself. So I would first say, take some time for you and just do some things you like. Walk, run, swim, dance, whatever. Once you've accomplished that and you're sure, like, okay, I energized myself already, because you have to feel energized again, then you can start to do the same with this person. And you go to this person and you connect with this person, if it's somebody very close or not so close, whatever. But just do it with presence and curiosity. Presence and curiosity with an open conversation. Be there, and you can ask, like, how do you feel? What did you miss? What do you want? And you can be very open as well, saying what you missed and what you want to change. And from there on, it's quite simple. You decide together what you like to do, what do we like to do, what fun thing can we organize, and then plan it and build back your relationship. And do see that it's based on trust, on quality time, and also on open communication. And the quality time, even if it's not so long, even if you can't say, I can take 2 hours a day for you. No, if it's with children, it's not always possible to have 2 hours quality time, but it's better to have like 15 minutes quality time and be there intentionally, not with your phone, not with your mails, but be there. And don't think about your clients. Be there. This is the basic of a good relationship, and reconnecting again with people with whom you were disconnected. Is this an answer to your question?
Thank you for sharing that. Really, Cindy, you did good. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your openness, your candor, your ideas, your tips, and your suggestions. I'm very, very thankful. I wish you weren't half of the world away so we could hang out once in a while. But I really appreciate everything. And for those who are listening, who would like to know more about you, your company, and the work you do, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
The best way, so if what I shared, if it resonates with them, so the best way is just to go and check out my website. It's Alegria Coaching with one L, Alegra, coaching, one word, .eu. And feel free, because on my website, there's a lot of information. Feel free to take the free Joy of Life assessment. It's like in 2 minutes, you will discover what is giving you stress, overwhelm, and exhaustion. And you will get a personalized report and tips to reduce the stress, to reclaim your time, and to create the freedom that you want. So this is one thing. And the second thing is just connect with me on LinkedIn. It's with my name, Cindy van Eeckhout, and connect with me there. Anyway, everything is marked on my website, on my LinkedIn. And if you want to find a way, you will certainly find it through these true possibilities.
Well, I really appreciate having you on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, and let's do this again soon sometime.
Thank you. I hope I shared some practical tips for your audience and for your listeners. And thank you. I'm very grateful to have had this conversation with you, Mason.
It was a pleasure. Thanks.